am going to draw a picture of Mewtwo. This is for my jammers out there, my jam kids who love drawing all kinds of animation characters. Today on our TV we had the Pokemon movie playing on repeat, and Jude really wanted to draw Mewtwo. So I decided, why not make a video of it? So I actually have the picture printed out right here, and I have it up in front of me, and I'm gonna look at this while I draw it step by step for y'all. And one thing that I don't spend a lot of time teaching at art time that I'm going to teach y'all how to do today, since I can't give you a hint, I'm going to teach you slowly how I do a gesture. So a gesture is just placing the image on the page for me. That way I don't start drawing super detailed right here in the middle and then come out with this tiny little Mewtwo, and when I really want something that fills the whole page up. So before I start with the tiny details, I like to make sure that I have what's called a gesture. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at my paper, and I'm gonna put a circle where the head's gonna go, and a circle where the hands go, and I'm gonna curve down how long this is gonna be. So I'm just very quickly, you learn how to do this in college, you have to do it over and over and over again until you get really good at it. So I'm gonna say the head's gonna go here, and I'm gonna put a hand right here, and then this arm comes down and my other hand's gonna go here. The body is about here with this leg coming down. I'm gonna have a big tail, and I have another leg coming out here. So now I have a rough little quick, I don't know how long that took me, maybe 15-second sketch, so that I know that it's gonna be big and it's gonna take up the page. So now I'm gonna start up here by the head. I'm gonna draw with pencil. This pencil is pretty light, which we usually use at art time. It's a 4H pencil. For the sake of the video, because it's so light in the video, I'm gonna use a darker pencil so that you can see it a little bit better. But at home, you're gonna wanna use a lighter pencil because it's easier to erase when you make mistakes. All right, I'm going to start right here above where I put this circle. I'm gonna put a slanted line coming down, and then a curve in. All right, so that's the top of that front ear and the front of the face. Now, I'm gonna curve out. All right. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of like a smile back, and a little up and back. So a smile back, and then I went up and a little curve back. Now there's a little tiny nostril right here. Boop. Now, coming out right where I did this little smile right here, I'm gonna go over just a little bit, stay very close to that other mouth line, come up and stop. Okay, now, the back of the head starts right across from this line that we just started, right here. That we just drew. But there's a space. So I'm gonna slant back from that line. So if I were to keep drawing that line, I would go to about right here if I kept it going. And from right there, I'm gonna draw a little line back. Now, I'm just gonna put that there, and I'm gonna remember later to go back, and that's where I'm gonna finish the back of my head. All right, let's come up here. Right where this line curved in, he has like a little eyebrow wrinkle coming in right here, a little line down. And then I'm gonna slant up, scoop back a little bit, and do another line. So that line is right behind my nostril and over my mouth. Okay, right across from the bottom of that line, I'm only scooting over a tiny bit, and I'm gonna slant back. So I did a big slanted line up. Not right from the end of that line, I'm scooting down just a tiny bit, and I'm gonna do a curve down that's gonna end right across from the bottom of that line. Now when I curve in, I'm not touching. So I'm gonna stop before I touch. All right, now inside here is the eye. I'm gonna do a long oval that's touching. So you can't see the top of my oval. The top of my oval is touching my line. Inside here, I'm gonna do a little tiny circle. And coming off my little tiny circle, I'm gonna do a longer oval circle. Now that longer oval circle is going to be your pupil. So you can shade that in right now if you want. I like to shade it in just so that it kind of helps me see the picture better. All right, so now we have our eye drawn. I'm gonna go back up here to this top line, and I'm gonna come back with this top line. So right at the top of this, I don't want this to be very pointy though, so I'm kind of curving and going back. Then I'm gonna do a curve, tiny curve. I'm just trying to keep that from being pointy. Curve down and then back a little bit like that. So I just did kind of like a smile back, but not a huge smile, just a shallow smile. All right, now the top of the head starts way back here, higher than where this line ended. So I'm gonna scoot back and then I'm gonna scoot up a little bit. So I'm curving down towards this line. I'm gonna curve down and then pass it up a little bit and stop. So now I have this curved, slightly slanted line. All right. The next ear is going to start right above where I ended that line right here. And it's going to come all the way in and end above the eye. All right, now I'm going to curve back and stop. Then I'm going to curve down. I'm slanting my line in a little bit. Now, this is where this little line down here comes into play. So when I do the back of the head, I'm gonna curve out and then curve around and touch. Watch. Curve out, curve back, curve in and touch. All right, now you're gonna look at your picture and kind of see if you need to change anything. I think that I curved in a little too much right here, so I'm actually gonna widen my curve just a little bit where that ear came in. That's the good thing about using pencil, is that you can fix your mistakes. All right, perfect. Now we have our face. We're gonna do the neck. Starting from the back of the head right here, I'm gonna do a straight line down. And starting on this mouth, I'm gonna do a curved line. And right in the middle, another little line. All right. Now I'm going to start with the shoulders. Now the shoulders are kind of a weird shape, so it's gonna look kind of strange. I just want you to trust me. It'll look good in the end. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start from the end of this shoulder line. I'm gonna put this tiny little line up, little detail line. Then I'm gonna scoot up my neck. I'm gonna do a rainbow, curve out, curve in, and stop. All right, then from this back line, rainbow crossing over that neckline and coming back. All right, now from the end of this line, I'm gonna curve in and stop. Then I'm gonna slant in, smile, rainbow, and touch the other side. All right, now it seems like there's some kind of like bones in this middle part. So I'm gonna put a line coming out with a little line underneath it. And right here, I'm gonna do a curve. Okay, we have his little chest plate. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do this outside arm because I think that's the easiest thing for me to do next. Now it's pretty long, so you don't want a little short arm. Mewtwo, if you've ever seen the movie or anything, you know that he has, a small, kind of a small torso and rather long arms. So I'm not starting way up here on the shoulder. I'm actually scooting down all the way to about halfway down. And I'm gonna do what's kind of like a slight curve. From the end of this slight curve, I'm gonna curve my line and slant down. All right, before I start the hand, I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side of the arm. So underneath this, now where the arm touches his chest plate, this is curved, but this is kind of coming out straight. So I'm not starting from the bottom of it. I'm scooting up a little bit, and I'm gonna come in all the way until I get to right under where this line curved, and I'm gonna start curving this line as well until I'm a little bit shorter than it. So the left line, as you can see, is a tiny bit shorter than the right line. All right, now for the hand, I'm gonna start on this side. I'm gonna come out and in. Then I'm gonna do a smile, stop. Now this line starts underneath my smile, right here. And it curves, touches the end of that smile, and then curves the other way. So it's kind of like a long S. All right, from the top of that line, I'm gonna come out, down, and over. So 3 lines, over, down, over. All right, from the end of this, I'm gonna put my other little finger. Now, in the picture, actually, my fingers aren't touching, but mine are gonna touch because I did this one kind of big. So I'm gonna scoot up this line, and since my fingers touch, that's fine. If they don't have to touch, but I'm just gonna jump over this other finger and I'm gonna curve that around. Then I'm gonna start right here and curve up, straight up, curve in. All right, there's my second finger. My third finger is gonna come out of my second finger. So I'm just gonna have a little line coming out and down. I'm gonna see that third bump. I'm gonna have a little line coming out, going in and up, and then coming in again. All right, now there's supposed to be one bump that connects my line. So you can see that my line's a little too far over. So what I'm gonna do here is, I'm gonna do my bump connected to my arm. And I had that extra little space. So I'm just gonna erase that extra little line. If yours lines up perfectly, then perfect. But if you need to change anything, and my pencil is going to smear like that because I'm using a 6B pencil, but if you're using a 4H drawing pencil, you're not going to have to worry about that. All right, here we go. Let's do the other hand. Now the other hand is pointing towards us, so that's called foreshortening. It looks like the hand is closer to us than the rest of the body, but the arm looks really short. So the hand's gonna seem really big compared to the arm, but it's because the hand is sticking out and you can't really see the arm. The arm is coming behind the hand. So you're looking from this view. So it's kind of a hard thing to draw. It's hard to draw, when you're trying I always have to look at someone. If I'm trying to draw something, if I'm trying to draw a person or sketch something, I just have them put their hand up in front of me, or I'll have someone, show me, kind of model for me, because it's really hard to make up out of your head. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is the top of the hand. It's gonna start from this point right here. We ended this little chest plate, and I'm gonna do a line coming out, slightly slanting down, and then it's gonna curve up like that. Okay, this is right where the hand this finger, you only have 3 fingers, so these are all going to be facing us. It's kind of strange, just trust me. I'm going to start above this line, and I'm going to come down, past that line, and then slant out just a little bit at the end. All right, now the end of this finger, this big circle, is going to go right here at the end of the line. It's pretty big. All right, underneath this finger, I'm just going to have a little rainbow. And coming out of the rainbow, so not starting all the way here on the circle, I'm going to scoot over, start on that rainbow, and I'm going to slant and then curve up. All right, I'm going to have another rainbow crossing over that line and my next circle. So that rainbow is kind of touching towards the bottom of that circle. Coming out of my circle, I'm going to have another line coming in. All right, before I do the other side of this finger, let's go ahead and do the circle first. So the circle is going to end, or the circle is going to start right here at the end of this line. Now, perfect circles are hard. You might have to erase it. And what I always say is, let's say you're drawing a circle and you keep trying to erase it and fix it, erase it and fix it. It never ends up working out. So the best thing to do is fix it before you, fix it first. That's what I always say. Fix it first, then erase the line that you don't want. I'll give you an example of that in a second on a separate piece of paper. All right. This line coming in from this finger is going to come down and then curve down a little bit. These 2 lines are not touching yet. They're actually connected with a line going across this way. So if you look at it, that line that we just drew, if you imagination drew a line through that finger, it would connect to that back part. So that kind of makes sense of why that lines up right there. All right, so now we have 2 hands drawn, and we are going to start on the body. All right, coming out of this finger right here, about right there, I'm going to do a rainbow coming back with a little line coming out of it, and then almost touching the circle of the finger. Not coming out of the circle, but super close to it. I'm going to have his back. Now it's very curvy, so I want you to watch me first. I'm going to curve in. Then at the end here, I'm going to curve out, change directions. All right. Now I'm going to start from the front of this plate, and I'm just going to get the front of this stomach in. So from right here, I'm kind of slanting out and stopping. All right, before we do this part, I'm going to put the leg in first, because this part of the body is going to have to jump over the leg because it connects to the tail. So if I try to draw this part first, I'm going to have to imagine where my leg was, so then I can redraw. So you kind of want to think 2 steps ahead when you're drawing stuff like this. It makes it a lot easier on you if you draw, what's touching what. So the next thing that I would draw would be the leg, so that then I can connect the body to the leg. All right, here we go. My leg is going to start right where this line stops. I have the tip of my leg, and it's not very big. The thigh, I guess you would call it, does get large, but the top of it isn't very large. It's almost like an egg shape. So I'm going to start back behind my line a little bit, and I'm going to come up and cross over my line and stop. Now, if I were drawing the top like an egg, or it kind of looks like the top of a spoon, you're not going to connect it at the bottom, but you're going to come out and out, and both lines are going to be curved in. So watch me. I'm going to start right here. I'm going to curve out and in, and here, out and in. All right, now the legs are very strange looking. I'm gonna start from the inside part of the leg. I'm gonna slant my line out and then go down at the end of it. Then I'm gonna leave a little bitty space and I'm gonna kind of curve out a little bit. Now the first toe, it starts back behind that line, crosses over this, comes around and stops. My second toe, see this little break that we left in our line right there? I'm gonna start above the break and end on this toe. So I'm gonna start above that little break. I'm gonna curve out and end on that toe. So that toe is kind of peeking out from behind. All right, I'm gonna do a little curve coming back from this toe. See, I didn't start right at the end. I scooted in a little bit. Now this one is gonna curve around this way. All right, then I'm gonna do a slanted line up and in. I'm gonna start past that in, and I'm gonna start my line right down here. I'm gonna come up, and then I'm gonna start slanting in. Now it's easier for me to come draw down than it is for me to draw up. So I'm actually gonna start up here, and I'm gonna slant my line down to connect it. All right, now we have a few little detail lines in here. Right here we have a long line, and here we have a short line. Okay, oh my gosh, it's coming together. It looks so cool. All right, he has something that I thought it was connected to his tail, but now I'm realizing I think it's just part of his neck, and it's right here behind his head. So let's go ahead and add that. Coming out of his head and going down to right behind this chest plate, like so it touches the arm. Oh, I know, I see it, I see it. So it's if this line were to continue up. So wherever you touched right here on the arm, jump over that and come up and then touch the head. And then you can just scoot over, and from the neck, you're just gonna curve down. So I don't know exactly what that is, but I'm sure all you Pokemon fans will be glad to tell me in the comments all about it. What it is and what it does and all that kind of stuff. All right, now let's do, so I'm not gonna do the second leg yet because I have nowhere to start it. I need the body so then I can do the leg coming off of the body. All right, let's look at where the body is going to end. Remember, I try to look a step or even 2 steps ahead before I start drawing. Now, I'm using a pencil, so I could always erase, but you know, if you are sketching or you know, you're just using a pen, sometimes people like to use ballpoint pens or Sharpies. You just wanna make sure that you know where you're going with your line. So this line is going to end at the end, touch at the end of this spoon. So right here is where I'm going with this line. So now that I know where I'm going, I can kind of come back up here and I'll know I'm curving out and coming back. So I'm not going way out towards this hand because I still have to fit another leg there. All right? So I'm kind of just taking this line down, curving it around and touching. All right, now right where you touch that leg, you're gonna jump over and you're gonna curve way up and over. All right, then I'm gonna leave a little space and do a little floating line. Okay, I'm gonna come right back to right here in this arch. And coming out of this arch, I'm gonna do another curved line that comes down right past those little lines, comes in almost to my foot, and smiles. Now the end of the tail almost looks like a drop of water, like a little droplet. So you want this to then get skinny again when you come up. And then it's kind of like a snake. You want to try to keep it the same distance apart until you get down to this leg where you're going to go ahead and curve up and touch all the way up here. All right, now wherever you touch that leg, you're going to jump over, and from right there, you're going to come up, rainbow, and touch. All right, one more leg and we're done. Well, we're done with the drawing part. All right, here we go. We're gonna start, now he's kind of on, almost looks like his tippy toes, and this second leg is a lot shorter than the front leg, so this must be a little bit back. I'm gonna start right here with the back of the leg. I'm gonna curve down and then do a little hook in. At the end of that, I'm gonna put a circle. Oh, perfect. I need to fix my circle. And I was telling you earlier I was going to show you how I do that. So instead of erasing this circle and redrawing it, and then erasing it and redrawing it, when you do that, a lot of times you end up drawing the same circle over and over and over again. So to avoid that, what you want to do is you want to fix it first. So what I'll do is I'll fix my circle, get it exactly how I want it. Then I'll erase the line that I don't want. It's hard to make it a habit, but it saves you so much time in the long run. Even if you have to fix it 3 or 4 times, in the end, it's going to be a lot easier for you to fix it and erase what you don't want versus trying over and over and over again, because you tend to trace the same line that you already drew. All right, I'm going to start wherever this, let's pretend like this line went through that ball, slanted through that ball. Right there, wherever that would come out, but this is kind of like, looks like a slide. Comes down, and then it goes over. And then at the end of this, it comes up and curves in. So these toes are a lot different than the other ones. All right, I'm not starting right from the bottom of that toe. I'm scooting up just a little bit, and I'm gonna come out and come up. I'm gonna curve right over this other toe where I already curved back. All right, before I try to draw up, I'm gonna start up here and make my way down. So this leg actually starts above where the top of this leg is. So I don't wanna start right across from it. I'm gonna scoot up a little bit more. And this is where my leg's gonna be coming out, right about there. I'm gonna curve this away. Now, remember I said earlier that I did my fingers a little bit bigger than the picture. In the picture, these fingers aren't touching. So if you have more distance between your leg and your fingers, that's fine. I don't have as much distance, but you know, if you did your fingers a little bit smaller, then you might have a little bit more of a space, and that's okay. So I'm gonna curve this down all the way till about here, and then I'm gonna do a line coming down. And there's this little detail line slanting in right there. Now I'm scooting up this line right where that hinges, right where I started coming down. I'm going back up to the curve, and I'm gonna draw a line down. And now I just need to connect the two. And then I have another little detail line right here. And voila, we have our Mewtwo drawing. Now I'm going to trace this. You can either use black marker or pen, whatever you want to use to trace it. Color pencil, if you're using color pencil to color it, you could use a black color pencil. At art time, we always teach to enhance what you already have colored. So a lot of times, unless you're using really awesome colored pencils, which are like Prismacolor color pencils, that's a brand. If you're using those, you can get it pretty solid. But if you use a Crayola color pencil or something like that, it's really hard to get it to look really solid. So you can enhance with your color pencil, which means you can add shadows and highlights. But I always like to color with marker first. No matter if it's a color pencil drawing or not. when you're doing realistic drawings, that's what everybody always does. They always do marker first and then color pencil over it. So just keep that in mind. Even if you're just using, sometimes I'll do a black and white picture and then I'll go back in with a gray marker and I'll kind of put shadows and stuff like that with the gray. And then I'll go in with the black colored pencil and I'll put some really dark shadows in with my black colored pencil. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, I am going to trace my picture and I am going to use fat black Sharpie, but you can use skinny if you want. It's up to you. All right, if you noticed, I left the eye because I realized when I was using my fat black Sharpie, when I got to the eye, that's gonna be way too small. So you could use a pen for this if you don't have a skinny black Sharpie. I just didn't want the whole thing to get colored in black. So I'm gonna trace this with my skinny and I'm gonna do the little pupil in black. All right, now once I'm done tracing, I always erase my pencil lines. The reason I do this is because sometimes I accidentally come off of my pencil line when I'm tracing, like there. Little blooper. And sometimes like my gesture is still showing through. That will show up underneath the Sharpie. So we're not gonna be using yellow in this, but sometimes we're using lighter colors like even gray. You can see those pencil lines through there. So I do a really good erasing job before I start coloring. Now I used a little bit of a darker pencil, like I said, so that y'all could see it. So some of those places, if I push down too hard, it might not come up all the way, but I think it's good enough. All right, I did a little test of marker colors and I came up with a good color combination. Now, if you don't have these colors, I'm pretty sure that Pokemon evolve. So you could really do it green, blue, purple, pink, whatever color you want. I'm gonna try to match the picture that I'm copying, which is this one, as closely as I can with the markers that I have. Now, I have an art school, so I have a ton of markers to choose from. So like I said, you don't have to do the exact same colors. You can do any colors you want. I've had people color Pikachu and do it blue, and it came out adorable. So don't worry about not having the exact same colors. Just know that in the tail and in the body, there are always lights and darks. It's never just gonna be a solid color. Pokemon characters are really awesome to copy, to learn where shadows go, because it's so easy to tell where the shadows are. So I'm gonna show you this finished picture. In the tail, you can see it's darker here, lighter here, darker here. See how easy it is to point these shadows out? Shadow here, shadow here. So it's really easy to copy the shadows. And so if you're practicing stuff like lights and darks, Pokemon are really great characters to copy when you're trying to do, get your lights and darks. So I did a little test, and if I put this dark gray down first and then put this purpley color over it, it pretty much comes out exactly like the tail colors. So I'm gonna start with the dark. You're always gonna start with your shadows and then do your highlights. That way you can color over the shadow with the highlight color, and it kind of gives it more of a smooth flow. It doesn't look so, this is where the dark is, this is where the light is. You kind of want it to look like a smooth picture. So I'm gonna start with my shadows in this front of the belly, and it goes back into the tail. I'm gonna draw these shapes in first, and then I'm just gonna color everywhere it's dark. Now when you're coloring, I know y'all are older, but I want you to remember the art time rules. No snow in Mexico, which means no white spots, and stay in the lines. We don't color with our arm, we don't color with our wrist, we only move our fingers up and down. Look how still my wrist is staying. I'm only moving my fingers. Another thing you can practice to do is trapping. You can trace the inside of the shape that you're going to color. And then you don't have to worry about getting so close to those black lines, which really is the cause of you getting out of the lines. So you trap it in first, then you go ahead and color. Little lines up and down. All right, now that I have the shadow color drawn on there and colored in, I'm gonna go over it with this purple. Now, like I said, if you don't have these Sharpie colors, and let's say you wanted to do that shape blue, you would color where I just did the gray, dark blue, and then you would do the light blue, not just in the white spaces, but over the dark blue as well. I love how it came out. I think that the dark and the light look really cool. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to a lighter gray Sharpie. Now, I don't know the name of this color, but I'm pretty sure that this is dark matter gray or slate gray. Sometimes when you buy big packs of Sharpies, they don't put the colors on there. And when you get a lighter gray, they look pretty similar, but you can tell that this one's a little bit darker. So I'm gonna switch to my lighter gray. The lighter gray I'm gonna use for the shadows in Mewtwo's body. So I'm gonna draw my shadows in first. And none of these are super big, so I'm just gonna go ahead and color them as I draw them in. There's one right there in the front of the ear, and by this ear right here that comes down on the face right to that eyebrow line, then kind of goes past that eyebrow line, comes up and down in between those eyebrows to the eye, and then under the eye it kind of connects that line for us. So remember when we left that little line open where the eye was? It connects that for us. And then comes down by the nose. So all over here is gonna be colored. And comes up, the whole bottom of the mouth is basically covered. So I'm going right back to the back of the head. And down into my neck. There's a little space in the back of the neck that's not colored. Okay, I'm gonna do a little V. Everything above that V is colored. All right, in this plate, I'm gonna curve over. I'm gonna connect these two lines together. I'm gonna do a little smile up to that line. And from this line, I'm gonna do a smile back and touch the back of my plate. Now, everything underneath that gray line is gonna be colored. All right, this back's little thing that's coming out behind his neck, there's just a small little space that's not colored. Everything else is colored in. All right, in this arm area right here, pretty much the armpit, I'm gonna kind of come out of the finger and curve up. And then from this little line that we had coming down, I'm gonna come down and up, and I'm gonna color in between those two lines. All right, in the hand, let's see. Right here, I have a little corner. Coming out of this finger, I'm gonna come down, up to that line, curve down, touch that finger. Now this is a little confusing. Everything underneath that line that we just drew, all the way over, is gonna be light gray. So in between here, so there's not very much in the hand that's not gray. All right, each finger has a little bit of a shadow in it, going right along the bottom. All right, let's see. This part right here in the belly area from this chest plate, I'm gonna come down and touch the back. And pretty much all down here is gonna be colored gray. In this arm, I'm gonna put a little bump right here, everything up. At the bottom of each finger, I'm gonna put a smile, 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 and everything below those smiles. In my leg, I'm gonna do a little line coming out and up. A little rainbow here. A little bump over, touch. Connect the toes. From the back of this toe, curve front. And in this circle. All right, so in this leg, I'm gonna color this top part. This big shape right here. Underneath this smile. All right, in this leg, last leg, in my little spoon, I'm gonna smile down and smile up and then smile. From the back of this toe right here, I'm gonna come up to this line, and then from the top of the line, I'm gonna come over and touch the leg. And everything from that line over, even this toe sticking out over here, is gonna be colored. And then there's this little shadow going all along, right along the bottom right here. All right, and I'm done with my shadows. So now, if you don't have a lighter gray, I would say just leave it white. I think it looks cool. I have a even lighter gray, which is a Prisma color marker. It comes in this really light gray. Maybe something that you could also do is maybe shade it with a pencil if you want it to be really light gray and you didn't have a lighter gray. But I'm gonna use this Prisma color to color the rest of his body. All right, one more thing is the eye. His eye is actually brown, but my eye, the little part with the color in it is so tiny that I'm too scared to use my brown Sharpie. My brown Sharpie is very dark and I don't have any lighter brown color. So I am going to use green. And I know some of you Pokemon fans are freaking out because he doesn't have a green eye, but that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna put a little bit of green just because this is my Mewtwo. So he's gonna have a little green eye. And there you have it. There is your drawing of Mewtwo. Oh, we have to sign it. Last thing, final thing to do, sign it. Now, as an artist, you always want people to be able to find your signature, but you don't want it to be the first thing that they see. So you don't want to write Maria going across the top of your art. I'm going to do it very small, right down here at the bottom. Small and neat. And then over here, I'm going to very neatly put 2020. All right, thanks for drawing this little Mewtwo with me. That was so much fun. I'm glad Jude decided to do this and talked me into it. I would love to see everybody's drawings. So you can share it with me by tagging your picture on, you can post it on Facebook and then tag Art Time, or you can email it to me at arttime@att.net. And you could just put Mewtwo in the subject box. All right, I am so excited to see your art, and I will see you next time. Bye.